Serious, people who have slept with their boss for a promotion raise, was it worth it? Pretty awesome. She sat on my face. And I got $3 more an hour to lifeguard the local pool. Best summer job I ever had. Edit. Fassa sitting got me a $3 raise and Reddit gold. Boom. Every lifeguarding job I've ever worked. Everyone was sleeping with everyone else. Bosses included. Lifeguards are just pretty as fuck. I slept with my boss. We were all out having drinks and were sharing a cab. She told the driver to just drop both of us off at her place and I gladly went with it. I transferred to another department shortly thereafter because we both agreed it was weird now. Unbeknownst to me, I was giving a raise and a new title when I transferred. I always thought of it as a reward for being discreet. I had sex with her because she was a hot older woman. The raise I got later was unexpected. It seems to me like the men that sleep with their bosses have far more positive experiences than the women. Woman here. Been sleeping with my boss for years and it's been fantastic. Granted we're married but still. I assume to each other otherwise. I joke that I fired my ex-wife so I could fuck her. She fucked me in the end. And half the town. I'm sad. Open bracket. I slept with my boss at the time. And we secretly hid our relationship for several months. In the end, he told his superiors that we were together and it was he that ended up getting the promotion and raise. He was taken away from being my direct supervisor. So our relationship could be out in the open. We were married 4 years later. Edit. We were in our very early 20s at the time. I slept with a camp director and she gave me a good job as a camp counselor. I had a higher salary than all the other counselors. Would do it again in a second. Edit. This is a day camp. I'm not sure this counts. Though. Because the iron law of summer camp is that everyone on staff is boinking everyone. All the time. Hell. The 16-year-old me got to third base at camp. And if you'd known me then, you'd understand how big a statement that is. Edit. Exception acknowledged for overwhelmingly single-sex camps. Like BSA. Exception not acknowledged for Bible camps. Like mine. Teenagers gonna teen. I slept with my boss and ended up quitting the job before she could give me any sort of promotion. Mostly because we were moving towards having a relationship and I didn't want that power dynamic to muddy it. Was it worth it? Quitting your job I mean. Yes. That job was just that, a job. Not a career. I've since moved on to a better opportunity. Currently sleeping with my boss. We work at a bar. He manages and I cocktail waitress. He's working on his mechanical engineering degree, eventually, and looking for a new job. And I just got out of active duty so this is both a temporary job for us and we'll both be quitting within the next year. Aside from a free meal while on my shift, usually we get 50% off but he just comps it. I haven't really gotten extra benefits. Obviously I'm only dating him for the free meals. And penis. Been dating for 3 months now. Edit. I told him about the thread. This was the conversation that came of it. When I was just 18 I had just come out of high school. And I desperately needed a job. I was able to get a job that pays $12 an hour at some guy's small business. The catch is I had to sleep with him. That money was great. But it was really awkward whenever I saw him. I needed the money though. So I would do it again. Edit. I only had to sleep with him once. I slept with my boss. Got a raise. And now I'm married to him. It was a good life choice. I slept with him because I had been attracted to him for years. I continued to advance despite our forbidden encounters based on my quality of work. Not having slept with him. She wasn't all that bad looking. I didn't get a raise but it got her so far off my back because she was afraid of the consequences. She hated me before. She was terrified of me after the fact. It was beautiful. I didn't do anything for the rest of the summer. Also, It helped that I was 17 and she 32. Edit. Holy shit, thanks for the karma, guys. She hated you so much she fucked you? That sounds like a fantasy. Boss here in education. I slept with one of my workers. Eventually it moved to a serious relationship and I helped him get a job at his dream engineering firm. Now we're planning on getting married. No regrets. Best decision of my life. Slept with my boss. She wasn't hot but cute and I had never been with a curvy girl before. We left a company awards ceremony and had a long drive back to our branch to 1/2 HRS. Well, long story short, she ended up giving me roadhead and we pulled over to fuck. It was fun and we continued our relationship for about 6 months. It ended when she was promoted to regional manager because she was always traveling to different branches. Never got a raise nor a new position. I got to brag to my buddies though. Kinda relevant. I had an FWB who was the manager at a store that opened in our town. And I think that had something to do with me getting hired. No experience whatsoever. It was generally a nice experience. I got a ton of special treatment and a couple free lunches. It also didn't hurt that he was in the closet. And I'm sure he appreciated my discretion. To sum up this thread. Guys. Sleep with your female bosses. Get raises. Or don't. You got laid. Who cares? No problems. Girls. Marry your boss or change jobs. Sometimes both. I was the boss sleeping with my employee. She was a very mediocre employee to begin with. Raging alcoholic. Would come to work looking like hell with black eyes and wet hair. Never on time. After we started sleeping together, I think she developed the attitude that she had to start performing better at work or it would be obvious there was something going on when she didn't get fired. Within a few weeks she's a model employee. Probably far better than even I was. She received several small lateral promotions within a few months. One I was involved in and one I was not. We ended up dating for over a year while I was still her boss before we both left the business. We both started looking for other employment because of our relationship and found better jobs with better pay. A few years later we are still together and now living together and engaged. I slept with my boss. Granted, we had to file a form to claim we were in a close personal relationship first. He tried to help me get hired elsewhere so it wouldn't be such a conflict. Then he explained what being in that job for 20 years was like. The politics of it all. How everyone hates it after a few years and burns out. So I quit the job and now I'm going for a law degree. Still with him over a year later and couldn't be any happier if I tried. And I think he feels the same. Best decision of my life. I can't even fathom my life without him. He was worth all the stigma and hours changes and pay lost for taking time off to be with him. I do some freelance work as a reporter and actually just agreed to a sexual relationship with an editor of a local newspaper I really want to write for. He's 27 years my senior, but the tabooness of it is enticing and exciting. And the obvious advantages work-wise that come with it won't be too shabby either. Kinda feel just a little bit guilty about it, but hey, he's like a George Clooney in the town I live in, so why not? When I was 16 I worked at McDonald's. I ended up secretly dating 2 IC and got pay raises. More breaks and could choose my hours roles, which was pretty sweet. Wasn't intentional though. Yeah. When I was young. She was a sub from the downtown branch. Introduced me to some terrible music. Treated me so well in bed. I guess I had it easy after that. But we served ice cream. It was already super basic. Not a boss but one of my professors at my university. She was in her late 30s 40 and I was 21-22. It was her first year at the school and was having a rough time meeting people. She was having car troubles, so I offered to help her out while I was visiting during her office hours. She offered to feed me dinner. And I was more than happy. We started drinking and ended up in bed. We had a casual relationship for most of the year until I unfortunately had to move after graduating. When finals came around, she told me not to worry about the final 15-page research paper. Hell yeah. But to be completely fair, I was a really good student with a solid A in her class before we started hooking up. When I was in high school, I worked at a pretty large movie theater in my area. It was a lot like a restaurant in the sense that everyone is fucking everyone and partying most nights together. We had a very cute manager who was probably about 30ish and pretty strict on most of the guys who worked there. Mainly because we were little high school shitheads that thought we were the cat's pajamas. Anyway, I hooked up with her after a party and it was great. We became FWBs, and since she was in charge of the time clock, she would often clock me in a couple hours early on slow days before I showed up, so I was getting paid full-time 40 hours weeks while only working about 20 hours. She would also have me stay late to clean up after late shows, and we would fuck in the regional manager's office since it was the only one without cameras. And because the regional manager was a fear-mongering bitch. I had a summer job working for the local government. I worked in a department filled with stereotypical middle-aged office women. You know the type. They shower in JCPenney perfume while caking on as much makeup as they can like it's some sort of competition. Then they come into work for an hour or two so they can gossip and eat the rest of the day. Anyways, I was basically told to file random shit while they asked me about my life and what I did outside of work. But all weird and creepy. Like they would ask me about my weekend on Wednesdays. So I never knew if they were talking about the previous weekend or the one coming up. Then the not so subtle queries about my sex life would come up randomly. I usually deflected these pretty well. Yet there was this one lady who happened to be the boss of the department who was not really subtle at all. She started hitting on me in the most awkward ways possible. Keep in mind I was 18 and looked 14. And this was a summer job. So there was no room for advancement or raise. Close to the end of the summer, she flat out asked if I wanted to have sex with her for a recommendation and a raise if I came back next summer. You get a raise every year you come back. I wasn't that stupid. I did not do it. Slept with my boss when I was 17 and she was 24. No forethought to promotion or a raise. But just because she was an older woman. Sexy and I was crap with women at the time. It was all good in the end. Happened a couple of times. I got privileges like the hours I wanted at work and in the sections I wanted, as well as a side benefit. Left the job when I went to university and all was good. I would do it again most likely, but not for promotion or advancement, but just because it was good fun. Have slept with a co-worker a couple of times. I would say that was more problematic than with my boss. I must admit there are bosses I've had that I would have liked to have slept with. Not for promotion or a raise, but because there is something very attractive about a woman in power. Not my boss. But I'm sleeping with my boss's daughter. My boss knows about us and has yet to say anything or treat either of us differently. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I'm a very good and loyal employee there. So I think he knows it'd be a bad business decision to fire me based off of an emotional standpoint, rather than a rational one. I think the only real consequence I've experienced would be that there have been times where I've been over for dinner and my boss has said, "Oh, I'm adding you on the schedule for tomorrow at 6 AM as we're leaving." It's usually on a Friday or Saturday night when he knows her and I are probably going straight from dinner with her parents to the bar. Or out to a club with some of our other co-workers. Just as a little fuck you, because he knows he can't fire me simply on the basis of dating his daughter, who just so happens to work there as well. We've been dating for 3 months now and I know they tell you to never shit where you eat. But I would do it all over again. If anything, I feel like it's brought me closer to my boss. He's a totally different guy at home. Funny and just a simple guy who watches football every Sunday. Not that I don't like him at the job. He's respectful and the type of person who's a leader. Not just a boss. I'm not sure if it actually is helping. But it feels like he's getting exposed to the real me. Not just the work me. Seeing what kind of person I am all the time. So I'm gonna keep on dating his daughter because she's hot as shit and I like her. My mother slept with her boss. Married him. Started her own company and is now a millionaire. True story. Think it was worth it for her.